Do you back into a parking space like routinely, or do you just pull in?
I just do a regular pull in.
You're normal. Everybody's just in my building, which is mostly older people. I get caught behind people backing into spots for no reason all the time. They're not good at it at all.
Of course they're not.
They're older and they're really slow when they park. So they take about 4 minutes to think they angled it right, and then it's wrong.
I don't remember there being a building here.
I know I sound like a really impatient New York asshole, but I just think this is a phenomenon that's out of control. I don't understand the benefit of backing into the spot. Just pull in and back out.
Yeah, what are you, robbing a bank?
I'm wondering.
They're trying to like Dukes of Hazzard, like slide over the hood of the car, just get in, boom, hit the gas, get out. It's an unnecessary flex.
But if you suck at it, it's not a flex. It looks really bad and weird. It wastes everyone's time. So linebackers.
Welcome to the opening bell of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. I'm Trevor Sikkema. The man in the incredible shirt next to me is the one and only Connor Rogers. Good to be back with you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We know that we're a little late here, but we had to move some things around because, it's 2 times a week time. We're back to 2 times a week, so we had to get these 2 episodes in the same week. We recorded this one a little bit earlier, but it's just a lot of moving parts. All we're here to say is that we're happy to be back. We're finishing out the summer scouting series with linebackers today. Well, we got one more episode. We are finishing it out this week. Linebackers today. Safeties is the last group that we have later this week. But Connor, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. We've been chasing the Catalina wine mixer. That's why we've been down and out for a little bit. It's good to be back. We've still been grinding tape. Don't ever
yes.
Just because we're not releasing episodes. These linebackers and eventually safeties, our last position group. We are absolutely grinding the tape. I'm good, dude. I'm excited. You could tell that I'm going back to work again because I'm getting dressed in the morning rather than like all the other summer episodes we did. I'd have on a t-shirt that I'm not going to say I slept in, but it's probably in the couch on my office
sure.
couch. It just folded up and I'm like, man, if I spray that twice with wrinkle release, it'll look presentable on a computer camera. And I'm back to work, which is good for every reason, and it helps that I'm actually getting dressed. Let me ask you something before we do linebackers.
Yes.
Are you somebody that, and this is good, I feel like this could apply to where you live. Do you back into a parking space like routinely, or do you just pull in?
So if we're talking like a regular like parking lot parking space, I just do a regular pull in.
Okay. When you go home, are you back in at home?
Well, technically, like I park in the street, so I've either got to parallel park or I got to go forward and back up. So that's why
you're normal. I'm just
a little bit of technical.
Now that I've been in the car every day again, and I do drive most days, but when I'm on summer vacation, like there's plenty of days where I don't go very far.
Yes.
Everybody's just in my building, this is my last NFL SE actually in this apartment. So my studio will look different going forward. I just realized that in my building, which is mostly older people, and even a little bit where I work sometimes, I get caught behind people backing into spots for no reason all the time. They're just, and they're not, the problem is in my building, they're not good at it at all. They're older and they're really slow when they park. So they take about 4 minutes to think they angled it right, and then it's wrong.
Yeah.
And I know I sound like a really impatient New York asshole, and I get it, but I just think this is a phenomenon that's out of control. I don't understand the benefit of backing into the spot. Just pull in and back out. Everyone's got these rear view cameras now. Like there's no challenge to backing out of a spot.
Yeah. What are you, robbing a bank?
I'm wondering.
What do you got to jump in the car through the hood roof and just, slam on the gas immediately with the momentum of you coming in the car?
I'm on to the 65-year-old couples that are backing in the spots, that they might be pulling a massive heist job in my apartment complex.
They're trying to like Dukes of Hazzard, like slide over the hood of the car, just get in, boom, hit the gas, get out.
Yep.
It's a little sketchy. It's a little sketchy. It's all I'm saying.
I'm glad that I got confirmation that it's not normal, because I'm just seeing too much of it here where it's time to leave. That's the real reason I'm moving.
It's an unnecessary flex. It really is.
I agree.
And you know what?
But if you suck at it, it's not a flex. It looks really bad and weird. It wastes everyone's time. So linebackers.
Now, the best part about you going on this rant is a lot of people listen to this podcast while driving. So that just from a sheer numbers game,
it's got to be one.
Someone is going to be mid back up, reverse park into a parking spot.
Or
and they're going to be like,
behind the person doing it.
I'm getting roasted.
Yeah, it's not personal. It's simply business.
It might be personal.
It could be very personal. It could be personal.
It kind of sounds like in your case, it actually is personal.
It's costing me a lot of time. I'm going to be honest with you. It's just costing me a lot of time. That's it.
You should somehow get their Venmo and hit a Venmo request for 75 cents or something.
75 cents every 30 seconds.
My time is worth this is the amount of time / money that you wasted.
This is another issue. Old people do not Venmo, Zelle. They just pull a $5 bill out of their purse or whatever it is, and they go, "Are we square?" And I respect that as well. But
are we square?
Even. Yeah.
No, I know, okay. But you're from the Northeast when you say, "Are you square?" Square?
Oh man, I keep it pretty reined in. On this show, not as much, but every other show I do. But every once in a while, it really comes out. So
that's why you got to let it out here on NFL.
Yes, it feels good.
All right, so off-ball linebackers, we're gonna give you our top 8s today. We're gonna hit a good hour-long show here and get to our top 8 linebackers that we have heading into the college football season, which is upon us, man. I mean, I guess we're releasing this the week after that we're recording it, so we already had a little bit of college football action that already kicked off. Crazy. And so, man, we are just about to have a flood of games this upcoming weekend. We're still trying to get you as many players as possible. We're still going to do the big board episode. We're still going to do the way too early mock draft episode before the NFL season gets kicked off. So don't worry, that is still coming. But Connor, we're going to do our top 8s here. We're going to do what we've done before, rapid fire 8 through 6, and then we'll kind of break down the top 5 a little bit more individually. So who you got 8 through 6?
So 8 for me is Lander Barton from Utah, who got hurt last year, but the 7 games he played had some really big moments, I think, in coverage and as a playmaker overall. I know the draft and scouting community as a whole is very, very high on this guy. I'll get into all of it. 7 for me, somebody that I think the draft and scouting community doesn't care about at all, despite being maybe the most steady player, steady defender in the nation last year. And I get from a projecting standpoint, there are questions and outlier aspects and things, but Jay Higgins from Iowa, somebody that I got to interview at Big Ten Media Day, and you understand why he's the leader of a defense loaded with NFL talent. And I just think he has a lot of things that are so natural and extinct at the position. So we'll get into him as well. And then 6 for me was Smail. I want to make sure I get his name right throughout this show, but Smail Mondon Jr. From Georgia, who is a really exciting player. Obviously, there's so much linebacker talent on the Georgia team, and some linebacker talent like Dumas-Johnson that left for Kentucky to show how much talent they have. But with Mondon Jr., I mean, obviously a pretty unique athlete at the position, some of the things he could do and the range and the movement skill. So I had to have him at 6 with some room to grow, I think, higher.
So I do want to hear about Higgins because I did not get to watch him. He is on my watch list of guys that I wanted to get on the PFF big board either before the season or very early on in the season. So talk to me a little bit more about him, and we can touch on those other 2 guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, Higgins is somebody that he played the most snaps out of any defender in the Big Ten last year, right? And this was the joke we had, on the show a couple of weeks ago when I brought it up. He's like, if I get to play more football, that's a good day. That's somebody that takes a lot of pride in being able to stay on the field no matter what. And when you play linebacker in the Big Ten, I think you get, and same could be said for the SEC, I think you get a taste of what, that North and South run game on a near NFL level can feel like at times, where you're getting punched in the mouth. And there's so many guys, Trevor, on our watch list this year, and this is an ever-growing trend of guys that they look like safeties out there. They really do. Yes. But at the college game, you can get away with that a lot. The linebacker position as a whole gets smaller year after year. There's no longer are the days of 255, 260 pound. Honestly, when a guy's 245 pounds, that feels huge at the position right now.
It's crazy that you say that because of the 12 linebackers that I got full scouting reports on for this study, only 2 of them had off-ball linebacker percentile weights above 50th.
Yeah.
Only 2. Everyone else was below 50th percentile in weight. You got guys that are, you talk about a guy who's 245. He seems big nowadays. I feel like I'm reading 230, 235 more than I ever have.
And I'm
so
reading
I'm
220s. I mean, listen.
Yeah, I mean, the 220 guys are, and we'll get into a couple, obviously. But
and some of the heights and weights I have will be different from listed weight. I think it's a little more closer to what, at least height, what they'll come in at the combine and the all-star process. They'll gain weight, lose weight. It's the name of the game with the draft process. Higgins, and he's very aware of this. He brought this up to me. Like, he's a little over 6 feet tall and he's a little under 230 pounds. He's 227. He's smaller. He's smaller at the position. And I don't think he's the fastest guy in the world. I really don't. Like, he's undersized and he doesn't have this athleticism where, like a lot of these guys, he has this true pass rush upside to pair with the off-ball stuff. But the off-ball stuff and the intangibles is so high-end at the position. Permanent team captain, team leader, instinctual, high-end awareness, and it's defending the run in the pass. He has great awareness in zone coverage. He always kind of seems to know where the run is going to be funneled. Mm-hmm. You can't quantify what he does for his teammates around him pre-snap. Like, these are a lot of guys that are going to go on to play at the NFL, and this is the guy getting everybody lined up and ready and in the right position and understanding what the opposition is trying to do to them. And I think this is a big issue at the position in today's game. He comes to balance and breaks down to tackle almost to perfection. And I understand maybe there's not the desirable arm length with Higgins that can lead to, some deficiencies at the NFL, but at the college level, his ability to come to balance and break down it's beautiful. Like, it's teach tape. And I think that there are a lot of guys that are more athletic, are bigger, and can make bigger splash plays. But when you miss a ton of tackles, you have to start to wonder, how much are you giving up to gain? And I think that Higgins, to put it in perspective, right? I have him as linebacker 7. Seven. I think the projection for him is he'll be a 5th round pick. He'll be a great special teamer from day one, and he'll eventually settle in to being a early down player. He'll never be this all pro sideline to sideline freak show on all 3 downs, but he's just so steady Eddie in the middle of the defense and the type of guy that seems to hang around the NFL for a really long time.
It's funny because I didn't watch Higgins, but the way that you are explaining him as your LB7 is how I would talk about my LB6, who is Karene Reid from Utah.
Okay, it's a guy I did not get to see.
Lander Barton's teammate. I want to get to Barton in a second, but the measurables for Reid, 5'11.5", 228 pounds. And so he's about the same size as what you said that Higgins is, but the way that you talked about how he overcomes being short on measurables, full pun intended. I mean, that's 5th percentile for the off-ball linebacker in height, 10th percentile for an off-ball linebacker in weight. And weight is important for linebackers, right? Sometimes it's not as important for some of these other positions. Guys I would say corner is maybe one of them, although you do have to obviously come up and tackle and be physical at corner. But you've seen guys who have a little bit lower weight who can still play the position at a really high level. Linebacker, it's tough to be a low percentile weight player and be a true full-time off-ball linebacker. You got to be physical. You're playing in the box. You're going up against pulling offensive linemen.
It's a lion's den,
and tight
man.
ends, right,
yeah.
man? And so when you're at corner, you're a wide receiver and you're away from the trenches, you could look at guys who have lower measurables and lower percentiles, especially when it comes to weight, and you could say, yeah, I mean, he's a little bit lighter than what you want, but he's got the rest of the game to get away with it. And if you tried to sell me on that, I would be more easily swayed or convinced that I could be bought into what this guy could do well. If you were a low percentile linebacker, it is tough to do. It's just really tough to be that kind of a player, especially at the NFL level. But Reid, to your credit, I mean, these are the strengths that I have for Reid, which feel like close parallel to what you talked about with Higgins. Motor is always running hot. Confident, smooth movements in zone drop coverage, makes adjustments and calls in the middle of the defense, team captain in 2023, multiple year starter, instinctual player who has good vision, good awareness, and a very low missed tackle rate last year, despite being sub 230 pounds. They sound very similar players. So when I watch Higgins, I'm probably going to end up having him, I would think, close to where we're at here with Reid, who Reid, I don't know what the total background with Higgins was in terms of how old he is, but Reid's also probably going to be one of the oldest prospects in the class. He was a 3-star linebacker back in the 2018 recruiting class.
Guys don't want to leave Utah, huh?
Well, he did a 2-year church mission before he even played college football.
That's always the case. Right? Vaki was the same way, wasn't he?
Yes, a lot of players at Utah and like BYU can be the same thing, right? The Church of Latter-day Saints, if it's a school that is a religious school with the LDS ministry, sometimes you do get these 2-year church missions that these guys will go on. And so that's just the important part of it. You could look at him and go like, whoa, hold on, like 2018, that doesn't make any sense. Well, Reid's only been playing college football basically since 2021. So he's had a regular college football timeline since then. But you just have to factor in the fact that he's going to be one of the older players in the class. But there's a lot of things to like about his game. He is one of those smaller players. You remember Sean Dion Hamilton from Alabama?
Yeah.
Somebody who is middle linebacker, moved very well, was a coverage guy in the middle of a really powerful defense. Unfortunately, he just went through some injuries when he was in the NFL that I think really derailed, but could have been a great career for him. But he was kind of a mid-round pick who was just a really smart player at a lower measurable percentile that I think that Reid and maybe even guys like Higgins could kind of be that type of a player, or at least what we thought Sean Dion Hamilton could be when he was coming out of Alabama.
Yeah, it's such a weird conundrum when evaluating this position, because like a common exercise for people watching at home that want to get into scouting, and sorry for the people that are like true sickos and this, you already know this, but you always try to look at who the best players are at the NFL at their position right now as a group. You can't look at one guy, right? Like for edge pass rushers, you can't be like, well, I love Myles Garrett. Good luck finding the next Myles Garrett or anything close. He's just such a unicorn. But you look at the NFL and you look at a lot of the guys that have played linebacker for the Niners recently. You look at like Quincy Williams was an all-pro last year for the Jets. I mean, talk about a guy that plays about 227, 230, but he's also runs probably a 4.4. So it's a little different. Like Higgins, and you kind of brought up a lot of the same things. That's not what they are. They're not these prototypes that are going to run a 4.4. And if you're 6 feet tall, 225 or 230, you could still be great at the position, but you got to be the freakiest athlete on earth. And we'll probably get to a guy at the show that kind of fits that mold. But there is a point in evaluating a position where you need like a nuts and bolts guy. Like who's a guy that's going to play on first down and second down for me when I have or the rare time I have 3 linebackers on the field in today's NFL, and he can fill a run lane. He can take a fullback or a tight end or any kind of pulling guard head on, or he's going to point out something to the guy next to him and say, you need to look out for that, and I got this. Like that matters a lot. Not everybody is going to be 6 feet tall, jump 42 inches, and have a 6'8" 3-cone. Like at some point, like the mental awareness of this position is colossal, and like it can be hard to justify when there are athletic limitations. But at the end of the day, there's a track record in this league of how much that still matters.
Yeah, I think that there's just so many funny ways to win at the linebacker position, right? I mean, you think about Zach Thomas, who is
my God, all-time outlier.
Right. Zach Thomas was 5'11", like 240, 235.
London Fletcher.
In an era where if you weren't like 255, 260, you were playing linebacker at the NFL level. No. And yet he was exactly where he needed to be. He racked up 1 billion tackles because he was a really smart football player. And so there's just, I do mean it when I say like it's harder to stand out when you have a lower weight percentile at the linebacker spot, but it can be done. If you are exactly where you need to be, you become sort of just this centerpiece of the entire defense, and they can kind of flow through you because they know that you have the center run fits made. You are in the spot that you can be, or that you need to be. So the defensive coordinator knows that he can get creative with where he is playing the players around him. So sometimes that can mean a lot. For some coaching staffs, it doesn't work out, but some you can find a little bit of innovation there. So Lander Barton is somebody that I wanted to hear a little bit from you about. I've talked about Reid. I have Lander Barton as LB3 in this class. So I like him a lot. What did you see in Barton? Because I think he was your 8. Was he the first guy?
He was 8 for me, yeah.
Okay, all right. What'd you think about Barton? And then I'll kind of echo some of what I thought of him as well.
Yeah, this is somebody that he has some big, summer grades for a couple teams. He's very high on many respected draft analyst boards, like yourself. Barton, like 6'3" and an 1/8, 233 pounds. It's kind of near prototype in today's league. I know it sounds crazy to say, but good size. Like I said last year, he had a season-ending lower body injury after 7 games. Do you know what it was? I Googled nonstop and have no idea what it was.
For hours, I tried to find this. For hours. I think it was a foot injury.
Okay.
That's all I can find. I think that it was some sort of foot injury. I wonder if it was like a Liz Frank foot injury.
Well, that would scare me a lot if it was, but anyway.
But like, I don't know what else it was. I don't know what, because Utah doesn't specify this stuff.
It goes back to our whole bit of like his leg might need to be cut off. He could be back 2 days from now.
Yeah.
We don't know. Okay, so his season ended after 7 games, and that's a shame because there were some big time moments for this guy. The number one thing that stands out to me is in this era, he's a hard hitter, Trevor. Like this guy,
sure.
when he makes contact with the ball carrier, there is purpose behind his hitting, and he consistently looks to punch the ball out. He wants to make big plays, this guy. And that also transitions to coverage where he had 2 picks in just 7 games, 3 more forced incompletions, and it's like legit ball hawking, going after, reading, anticipating, making plays in coverage. I just think right now, and this is why I wish I had more than those 7 games, because most of the time, younger players, and Lander Barton is a junior right now, younger players or less experienced players get a lot better at this in the second half of the year at this position. His run fits and just overall run defense awareness is wildly inconsistent. Like there are moments where it feels like he can blow up a play, and then there's moments where I'm like, he had no idea what just happened, and the ball carrier is 5 yards past him already. Yep. And then when they lined him up at outside linebacker and asked him to set an edge a couple of times, and I understand, like, this is probably going to be a guy that's more true off ball at the next level, I thought he got walked off the line of scrimmage pretty consistently. So I think that I see the trajectory and why a lot of scouts are going to be really high on him, because if this guy gets healthy, number one, stronger, number two, and even a notch, like his run awareness goes from a 5.5 to a 7, that's fine. That's completely fine. But I think right now it is really, really raw of how he consistently sees things in the run game. But he's the type of guy that when it's right, when he sees things, big hitter, big playmaker, ball skills and coverage, which is very rare at this position, and you already have the NFL size. I understand why people are kind of enamored with him at the moment.
Yeah, I think that we see him pretty similarly. You're just a little bit harsher on sort of the negatives, which I totally understand. I think that's totally fine. Junior Utah linebacker, by the way, he's the teammate of the guy that I was just talking about, Karene Reid at Utah. So we're going back-to-back Utah linebackers here. 6'3.5", not quite a half. I think it's like just over 6'3", 233 pounds. 233 pounds, just 23rd percentile for the position. I have written on his strengths that actually when he gets some momentum, when he can create that speed to power, if you will, he actually can punch above his weight class with strength when he is hitting, pulling offensive linemen. I think that goes to his tenacity and how hard he plays the game. But I do agree when you put him close to the line of scrimmage and he doesn't get that running start, that is where you see him get dog walked a little bit, which is obviously what you don't want for a player who's in the trenches. I mentioned it as well. Takeaway mentality. I have that, whether it's forced fumbles, punching the ball away, that instinct for coverage of wanting to get the football, that is all there. There are too many times, you're right, where he just doesn't seem to know where the ball is going. And that has to improve, no doubt about it, at the next level. The missed tackle percentage was higher than I thought it was going to be for him. Because there are a lot of plays where I watch him and I go, good hit.
Well, he wants to knock your head off all the time.
And he's just like power, and he's trying to do it the right way. He's not super reckless with it. And then I looked at the missed tackle rate and I was like, man, that's why your run defense grade is lower than I thought it would be, because you've got more missed tackles than I thought you would have. So I got to think that another year that will correct itself with some of the baselines of what I have seen from him. But I really like him, man. And obviously, if the last name sounds familiar, it should. Both of his brothers, Cody Barton and Jackson Barton, have each played for Utah and have each played in the NFL. His brother Cody was a linebacker as well, whereas Jackson was an offensive lineman. But he's got quite the athletic family as well. His dad played baseball and football for Utah. His mother was a All-American basketball player. His sister is an All-American volleyball player. This family, like, I mean,
they had omelets and broccoli for breakfast every day. It's insanity.
100%. Only egg whites in the omelet. By the
lean
way,
and mean.
You got to make sure that you're.
I'm a pro yolk guy.
See, I am. Don't get me wrong. Like I love the yolk. You got a lot of a lot of useful.
There's nutrients in the yolk.
Important nutrients. There's no doubt about it. But if you're trying to control the fat calorie count. I mean it's all about macros, man. It's just whatever fits your macros. And very clearly for the Barton family, they need the egg yolks. So you know what? What the hell am I talking about? They got egg yolks in the morning. There's no doubt about it. He reminded me, the highs of Landon Barton reminded me a little bit of Minnesota Vikings legend Chad Greenway, who played in the league for over 10 years. I think he only made a couple of Pro Bowls, which is kind of shocking to me, but similar build, similar profile, played the game with their hair on fire, gave you some extra coverage ability. But again, if he increases that awareness, he's maybe got that Chad Greenway type of ceiling to him. So hopefully he comes back. And I do want to say, to the point of us not knowing exactly what the injury was, there are too many really well-connected people in this industry who have him high in their rankings to where I think scouts and NFL teams, they get the skinny on these guys. Like they actually get to know what really happened. And if he had like a Liz Frank injury, or if he had an injury that was really going to affect him long-term, I think that would trickle out in the fact that he would be a lot lower on preseason boards than where I'm seeing him.
Yep. So, that's a really good point. Who's your 8 to 6?
Yeah, so I got Jalon Walker, the linebacker from Georgia, which is I got him at number 8. He's interesting. I'll talk about him in a second. I have Dumas-Johnson, who was at Georgia. Now he's at Kentucky. I have him at number 7.
Okay, he was 9 for me.
And then I said I had Karene Reid, who I already talked about, at number 6. So you want to talk about Dumas-Johnson, or you want to talk about Walker?
Wow.
Let's talk about Walker.
Truly stumped.
Let's talk about Walker.
Yeah, Walker for me was 5. So this is good.
Oh, okay. This is well. All right, then I'll say some quick words on Dumas-Johnson, so then we can talk Walker, and it's an easy transition for us. So Dumas-Johnson, he was one of the players who I mentioned whose weight profile is actually in the plus percentile. 252 pounds is what he is listed at. That would be 89th percentile for the position, which is hilarious.
He's
that
a
252
unit.
Is now 89th percentile for off-ball linebackers, but played at Georgia. Now he transferred over to Kentucky, so he's going to be at Kentucky this year. Former 4-star linebacker. Played a bunch of games as a true freshman. Started off 14 games as a sophomore. He started last year, but he broke his arm, so he didn't get to finish the season. But this is a heavy hitter. This is a throwback linebacker, right? I mean, it makes sense that his weight profile kind of reminds you of the linebackers of old, and his game does as well. This is somebody who I think once he gets you in between the shoulder pads, you're going to feel it. You're going to need a nice bath the next day. The shorter height, the shorter length in the arms make getting off blocks a little bit more challenging for him. Shorter strides kind of limit how much coverage, range, and impact that he could have. But if you want somebody in between the tackles to fit the run for you and be able to pop pulling offensive linemen and really hold their own and get some penetration, whether it's single blocks, whether it's combo blocks, whatever it is, I think this is the guy to do it for you. So maybe a little bit of a lower ceiling for him than some of these other guys that have some coverage pluses to them. But a good football player, and one that I can think certainly find a role in the NFL.
Just limited, right? I mean, he's just a big, stout presence in the middle of the defense. But if you want him in the sideline to sideline race, you're going to be disappointed. I felt the same way as you. I had him at 9. I think he's a throwback. I think there are going to be defenses that understand how to fit him into a rotation and put somebody next to him that kind of makes up for his lack of foot speed to lack of range, I should say. We should talk about his former teammate in Jalon Walker.
We should. Walker is a very, very interesting player that I think takes a lot of context to understand what he's done before and what he will do for Georgia moving forward. Before we did that, though, got to shout out our friends over at DraftKings. They are back this weekend. We got the appetizer of college football. And we're recording this obviously before it happens. So afterwards, you guys already got a taste of the college football season right now. The feast is coming, baby. We got college football, and it is going to be plentiful from this weekend all the way forward. It's back. Don't miss any of the action. Jump on it right now at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's a full slate of games for week 1, including a big matchup in Atlanta between the preseason number 1 and number 16. I'm excited for that one. It's going to be the biggest year for college football yet on DraftKings. Enjoy the ride. Now all the way through the expanded playoffs, which I'm going to have fun talking about all year long here on this channel. Plus, for all the newbies out there getting into college football spirit, Something a little extra for you. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 and get 200 cold ones in bonus bets instantly. Score big with DraftKings all college football season long. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the promo code PFF. There's promo code PFF for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. If you got a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problems with gambling at 888-789-7777, or you can visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, visit dkng.co/ftball. And now that, okay, people are thinking, all right, summer's over. I'm not going to be outside too much. Don't need to worry about sunglasses. Wrong. Now, this is the time to actually get on sunglasses. And we got our good friends over at Goodr. That is Goodr. And they're going to get you ready with some fantastic sunglasses. Look, Connor, I don't know about you, but I don't have like super fancy sunglasses. Like they're great, like the super expensive ones.
Okay.
But I can't justify buying them because I always lose them. I always lose the sunglasses. So like I'm always looking for a really good, lower priced pair of sunglasses. Goodr is one of those companies that I'm now always going to. Starting at only $25 a pair. Got a free 1-year warranty. They're light, they're comfortable, they're 100% polarized. They're there for whatever you want to do. Walking around, going to the beach, going on a hike, biking, whatever it is, they've absolutely got you. If you're a pickleball player out there, use sunglasses playing pickleball outside, the weather's getting a little bit nicer, check out our friends over at Goodr, Goodr. If you guys need a new pair of sunglasses, they are giving NFLSE listeners free shipping. You can go to Goodr, Goodr.com/NFLSE. Use the promo code NFLSE for that free shipping. Offers 30-day money-back guarantee and 100% satisfaction. Again, that's Goodr.com/NFLSE. Use the promo code NFLSE for free shipping. Jalon Walker, you got him at number 5. I got him at number 8. Take it away, my friend.
I mean, big time projection, right? Let's just be honest here. This is not somebody that's a full-time player yet for Georgia. True junior, hybrid player.
Yeah.
I put it quite mildly.
Right.
Top 50 prospect in his recruiting class. Kind of that flex between a 4 and a 5-star. I wouldn't call him a bona fide 5-star, but I would say he's better, or higher ranked than your typical 4. Listen, here's the thing with Jalon Walker. He's 6'2", 245. He has a good frame and strength at this position. He had a pass rush win rate last year of 20.7%.
Yeah.
20.7.
Yes. I believe it.
He converts legitimate speed to power. And the final big nugget I had is he's got a ton of experience on special teams already. And I mean, I'm just laughing at a guy that was like a fringe 5-star built like this, running down on kickoff and punt and just knocking your head off. Clothesline from hell. Yeah, here's the way.
I'd quit. I
would simply call today. I'd go get in my car and back into a parking spot somewhere for 5 hours. Ruin someone else's time.
Next time you see somebody backing into a parking spot, you're gonna yell at him and honk the horn. It's Jalon Walker that's gonna get out. You're gonna be like, actually, you're good.
You do whatever you want. I'll go find a different parking lot.
Go ahead.
I'll pass on CVS. I'll go to Walgreens today. This is the reality when you don't play a traditional linebacker role full time. He's a step late to react to the run in an off-ball role consistently, not just like, damn, that one play. He was like, he's not seeing it yet. Yeah. He needs to show he can handle that larger role in defense. Here's the other caveat, Trevor. Is he a linebacker or an edge? Because I walked away almost mad at myself that I was like, real talk, and I know he's going to play linebacker this year, and he's pretty freaky, so he might just end up really good at that position. I don't think he's a good linebacker right now. I think he has a massive ceiling, and I have him at 5 because there's just traits you can't get with certain guys. But I think he's a good pass rusher right now. So he's a really weird guy to rank, and I'm obviously going to trust Georgia to figure this out because they just do. But it felt like he's better at edge right now, but his long-term home is going to be off the ball. So let's see how he does with a larger role in that area this year.
Yeah, look, he's the other player that was one of the two that were above the 50th percentile in weight, and he's a damn edge rusher. So it's like
right.
he doesn't even really count. He's only 245. So the problem is that I think he is very clearly, he has the mindset of an edge rusher. He's been an edge rusher his whole career. I read some interviews with him about making the transition from edge rusher to off-ball linebacker, and he's like, obviously the blitzing stuff is a lot easier for me because I've always been an edge rusher my whole life. And now I'm kind of, what'd you say?
He's like stand-up pass rusher on so many reps.
Right, and that's why he's like, I've always been an edge rusher, so this is a little bit different for me. But at 6'2", 245 pounds, I mean, he's not built like an edge rusher.
Right, you're going to try to be Mo Kamara? Like
there's another player that we'll get to where we have to have the exact same conversation here. And these guys are sort of edge rushers by trade, but not by physical gifts. And I think Walker is one of those players where Georgia seems to be taking a lot of the guys that were playing on the defensive line and moving them out of position, right? Michael Williams, who's a defensive end, like they're going to move him to like stand-up edge rusher this year. Jalon Walker, who was more of like a stand-up edge, they're now moving to an off-ball linebacker spot this year. So they're just kind of like spreading things out. And I guess that's in an effort to maybe get a little bit bigger with their 3-down linemen, maybe bigger at the linebacker level overall, but coverage grades last year. And he only played 84 snaps in the box last year. So it's hard to even judge this too much, but 48.1 coverage grade in the box, 45.8 coverage grade in the slot, just not reliable numbers. And he didn't have a single forced incompletion last year. So it's hard to really know what to do with him. A lot of people like him a lot. I think he's a very talented player, but he really, I mean, he made it to number 8 for me simply because I went, okay, you're really talented. You have the body type to play in the NFL. I just don't know where you're going to play. So that's why I got him.
And that's a concern, right? Because if you are too small to be an edge, which is what you're good at right now, are you going to mold into a good linebacker? I don't know.
Right.
So yeah, it's an interesting one.
Big question. I have Clemson's Barrett Carter at number 5.
Okay. I had him at 2.
Ooh, okay. All right. I like him, and I think I went into my study of him and I was like, I don't think I'm going to like Barrett Carter because if I actually liked him, I think he would have declared last year because he was draft eligible last year. People will remember his name from summer scouting that we did last year. Oh yeah. And so I kind of went into it and I was like, there's got to be like, I'm going to find something on his tape that I'm going to review his season last year. And I'll go, yeah, I don't really see it. I can get why he went back to school. He's good. Like Barrett Carter's good. And I think him being at 5 talks about how much I kind of like the linebackers that I've got ahead of him. So, with Carter, I still think that he can absolutely be a potential top 60, top 50 player. Really fast, 3-4, will linebacker, outside linebacker type of a player, former 5-star in his recruiting class. He has been a 2-year starter. He started 13 games as a sophomore, started 13 games last year. He's going to start all of the games that he's healthy this year for Clemson, so he's going to have a ton of experience to his name. Really great athlete. I should have mentioned his measurables. So he's a shade under 6 foot, which is 6th percentile. 235 pounds, 29th percentile. Looks like he's gained a little bit of weight from last year, which is good. But just an explosive athlete.
What'd you have him as exactly?
A shade under 6 foot.
Okay. Yeah, about 6 feet, 233 is what I had. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I got him, right under 6 foot.
Yep.
And then I don't know if I rounded up because I didn't find an exact number or it was just 235 is the number that I found. But
close
somewhere around 235. Anyways. When he sees it, boom, he's there. Like the guy can trigger downhill incredibly fast. He can go sideline to sideline very, very well. I thought that the strength was still an issue for him last year, which is why I noted the trending upward of him gaining a little bit of weight compared to what he was listed at last year, because the missed tackle rate from him was too high. It's got to be better than it was in 2023. I just felt as though that strength issue for him was probably something that was glaring that he felt like he could get better at, that he thought he had the athleticism to be a potential first-round pick if he gets a little bit stronger, if he cleans that stuff up. So the measurable is obviously a little bit smaller for him, but he makes up for it by, like what you were talking about before, being a really damn good athlete. I liked him better than I thought that I was going to. Even for the reasons of why he would go back to school, I think Carter could still be a really good player. And somebody who could be a potential starting linebacker in the NFL because of how athletic he is. I just like a couple of the guys above him.
He's just so fast. I mean, you look at what he's done over the last 2 years, 9 sacks, 16 passes defended, 3 picks, 20 TFLs, former 5-star, multiple-time ACC honor roll selection. This is somebody that is a remarkable presence off the field just as much as he is on the field. I know in a lot of his free time, he goes to elementary schools and reads to the kids. He does a lot of different volunteer work. To put it, I mean, this is the highest form of praise. Dabo Sweeney, who's coached how many different talents over the years, said he's one of the best pure football players I've had in 20 years. Like this, This guy has clearly left a mark on that Clemson program and gets another opportunity to do that this year. And you just nailed it. Like, this is rare speed for the position. This is run around, heat-seeking missile, sideline to side. I think he has the same range as a safety. I really do. Like, I thought the range is the same as a athletic, strong safety. His ability to explode from the backside of plays and chase down ball carriers from behind is just something not a lot of guys can do. And he just almost plays too fast at times. 12 missed tackles against the run in 2023. So many of them that I watch are him overshooting plays. It's not like he gets the ball carrier and now the problem is there was one time that he did get trucked. Omarion Hampton, that's a tough one.
That one's fair though. That one's fair.
Yeah.
That one's fair.
Anyone would,
you tip your hat.
You tip your cap and say, good game. Like, it's GG's, my man. It's Omarion Hampton is just different. It's that trucking was wild. And I think that's where you can kind of see that even at 233, 235 pounds, like Barrett Carter is not the biggest guy in the front seven. He's not. And that's probably the difference of him being something you alluded to, an exciting second round pick compared to one of the freak show first round linebackers. That is not an easy feat to pull off. So I had him at 2. I think I value the athleticism and a lot of things, the athleticism, the character, the range, and the explosive playmaking over the 3 guys I have him behind him in this top 5.
Yeah. Number 4 for me, I have Notre Dame linebacker Jack Kiser.
This is kind of funny to me because
why?
4 for you is a guy I didn't watch, and 4 for me is a guy you didn't watch.
Oh, you have somebody I didn't watch it for?
Jaishawn Barham.
Oh, yeah.
He transferred from Maryland.
Now I got to get him on the list,
so
too.
This is good. We each are going to talk about a guy that, the other person didn't get to watch. And they're obviously good players. They're in our top 5s.
All right. So Notre Dame just had 2 linebackers go in last year's draft. Oh, my goodness.
Maris
Liufau and J.D. Bertrand. Jack Kiser was sort of like a rotational guy with those 2 players, but he really, like, anytime those 2 guys were fully healthy, he wasn't playing a ton. I mean, he only got Kiser, that is, had 354 snaps last year. I don't really know why. I think that Kiser is better than J.D. Bertrand.
Interesting.
And I think that he could be better than Maris Liufau, although I liked Maris Liufau quite a bit. I had him as a top 100 player last year.
Yeah, he's a good player.
I think that he could be a starting NFL linebacker, but
he might be for the Cowboys, right?
That's true. They need him. So Jack Kiser, he's 6'1.5", which is 74th percentile, 235, which is 29th percentile. He is a 6th year player. This will be his 6th year in college football. I don't know how he did not get a starting role before this. His recruiting background, 4-star linebacker from Indiana. He won back-to-back Class A state championships as a junior and a senior in high school. He was named 2018's Mr. Indy Star, or the Indy Stars Mr. Football in the state. He played quarterback, safety, and linebacker for the team in high school, and he was top 3 in both the shot put and the 100-meter dash when he competed in the state tournament in track and field. He's got the athletic background to him. He's got the size to him. He's got decent coverage instincts. He hits really well. He's a fundamentally strong tackler, very low missed tackle rate. Now he's got ample special teams experience because he didn't play a ton as like a starting linebacker. So they played him on special teams a ton, on kick duties and punt duties. He's got good, I think his arm length is actually longer than what his height suggests. So I think the arms make it easier for him to stack and shed, to be able to play on the line of scrimmage, go up against offensive linemen when they want him to blitz. The all-around athleticism from the track background and the multi-position background and him playing quarterback, like that is all there for him. The big negatives from him is he didn't show a lot of nuance when he's rushing the passer, just because he didn't get to do it a lot. And the feel for coverage. Like sometimes you watch the field for coverage and you're like, all right, well, you could have moved in this direction a little bit quicker, maybe made a bigger impact on the ball, but coverage grade in the box. Now it's a smaller sample size. So again, we'll say PFF grades do well, or do best, I should say, when you have larger sample sizes. So with smaller sample sizes, sometimes the grades can get skewed a little bit harshly, or you're praising them more than you should, one way or the other. His coverage grades, 83.6 coverage grade in the box, 74.8 coverage grade in the slot, 87.3 run defense grade, and an 11.6 per run stop percentage, which is 85th percentile. He had the highest wins above replacement metric of 0.23 of any of the linebackers that I watched.
It's crazy.
And so I'm like, how do we not get this guy on the field?
That's what I'm confused by.
I'm actually excited for him to now be a full-time starting linebacker. He was voted a team captain as well, so he'll be a team captain this year. But I watched this guy's tape last year, even the little bit that he was on the field, and I was like, this dude's good. He's got the goods. Give him the snaps. And so this year we get to see the snaps, so I'm excited about it.
Dude, that's crazy. Yeah, I clearly got to watch the snaps he did get to play last year. And that was a weird exercise I had during this whole group, right? Is that I watched Jalen Walker in the middle or towards the end, because it's like, well, he didn't play full time and he was used brushing the passer a lot, but then you start reading up on, how he's going to use this year and the type of athlete he was. And it's weird when you find yourself in those situations of guys that have been around a little bit, but haven't truly played linebacker, but you're trying to project who can do the most with more time at the position. And it sounds like this is exactly that kind of scenario.
Yeah. I also think he was honestly one of the best linebackers I watched at covering running backs out of the backfield and covering tight ends in man coverage.
Wow.
Just because, again, the guy moves really well. So anytime you can do that, I watched him, and I'm glad that we get a full year of him playing as a starting linebacker.
Well, that's exciting.
I already mentioned who my number 3 is with Lander Barton. You already mentioned who your number 2 is with Barrett Carter. So who's your number 4? We got to talk about your number 4, and then we'll get into the 2 guys.
Number 4 for me was Jaishawn Barham.
Yes.
So
where's he from?
He will be playing his football at Michigan this year. Okay. He transferred from Maryland.
Good program.
And fascinating because he's a true junior, but he started basically from Maryland his first 2 years. Like, this was a big get for them at the time. And now he goes to Michigan. 6'3", 248 pounds. Right off the top, like, this is a well-built linebacker. True junior. Somebody that he's a former 4-star that was the number 3 ranked player in the state of Maryland. So Maryland getting him to stay in the state was a pretty good get for them at the time.
Yeah.
He's basically started his freshman and sophomore years. And this goes back to a little bit of the conversations we've had with some of these guys. His pass rush win rate last year, Trevor, on 80 pass rush snaps was 22.5%. Like, he kicked the shit out of tackles as a pass rusher. Just when it was, and they obviously he's got a rare blend of size and athleticism. When it was passing downs, 3rd and longs, Maryland would use him as a legit edge. Like, they'd move him from off ball and have him as a stand-up rusher on the outside. You saw burst, change of direction, some power, like legit pass rushing wins, methods of winning. And then you just look at some of the plays, he's been able to make at off-ball linebacker, while not consistent, because I do think as a run defender, there's a little bit of a delay in processing at times, which is the case with a lot of these guys. He had an interception last year. I mean, he's made plays before. As a freshman, he had a forced fumble. Like, this dude is big. He's pretty fast. He's athletic. He has a very, very unique ability to play off the ball on early downs and rush the passer on passing downs. And I'm just sitting here, Trevor, thinking of him playing behind Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant. And I'm like, this dude is going to run around and just blow up every damn play. It's going to be not easy for him because that's not fair. But this is a situation where his stock is going to take off like a rocket, is how I see him fitting in this Michigan defense.
I mean, Michigan had some players last year at the linebacker spot who were able to play very fast and free because of that defensive line. And I got to think that it's still going to be a very, very good defensive line, right? I mean, you got those new edge rushers coming in, but I think that they're very talented players. But like Michael Barrett, Junior Colson, those guys, I mean, they were able to just fly around last year because of how free and how clean the defensive line was able to keep them. So I'm excited. I got to watch him then 100% before the season. I got to get to both of those guys.
I think he's going to have a big year.
All right. So I said that I already talked about my number 3 guy. You already talked about your number 2 guy. So who is 3 for you?
Okay, so 3 for me is Danny Stutsman from Oklahoma.
Oh, okay. I have Stutsman at 1.
Okay.
I have Stutsman as LB1.
Like 1 to 3 for me, I thought you can kind of shake up and pull one out of the hat situation. Like, I was pretty impressed with my 1 through 3.
I was gonna say, let's see how well we see him, or if we see him eye to eye with me having him as LB1, you having him as LB3. What did you think about Danny?
So Stutsman,
Oklahoma. We got. I'm trying to make sure that we're better about that for the people.
Senior, 6'4", 240. Total lunatic in the best way, right? Like, he really is. Last year he finished with 16 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 1 pick, 2 forced fumbles. He started all 13 games in 2022, 10 and a half tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 picks. His dad played football at Baylor. His mom played basketball for Baylor.
Yep.
His sister played softball for Florida State. He was also an all-state wide receiver in high school. If you're wondering what kind of athlete this guy is at 6'4", 240. I mean, he can absolutely host the pod.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
a well-built human. Like, he's got length. He's big. He's dense. He has zero, and I mean zero, fear of taking on and working through blocks. I would say when you do this exercise, 75 to 80% of the guys you watch in this era try to slip blocks. And listen, if you're 220 pounds and you got a 320-pound guard pulling and coming your way, I get it. Like, do you really want to stick your nose into his chest and maybe have your season ended? They try to slip block, and you're going to be more, like, you can move, you could slip under it, you're quicker. Stutsman's a little bit of a throwback where he will run right through your face.
Yup.
And
with pleasure.
I think it's like, yeah, right. It's like in those fighting games when you like build up a meter to unlock like your special. Like, the more collisions he gets in, it feels like he's about to unlock his special move. That's how it goes for him.
That's actually pretty damn good.
That's like what it felt like watching him, where I'm like, oh no, he's growing stronger.
Yes.
You got to give him credit though, because I know we look at him and kind of joke like he's this character, and he's almost this cartoon character of a linebacker, the way he crashes gaps like a total maniac. But I think he's got a pre-snap sixth sense on some plays that blew my mind, where I was like, damn, he knew exactly what they were going to do, and there was nothing they could do out of it, because it was too late to check out of the play, because he's not an idiot where there's so much time on the play clock, and he's like, now I'm going to show that I know what they're doing. He sees the play clock and understands when he can crash the gap. I think the speed is good. I saw sideline range. I saw comfort and hip fluidity when dropping into coverage. The two things I wrote down that are weaknesses, I think his pad level naturally gets high. He's tall.
Yeah,
he's tall for the position, and he can, when you're going into collision after collision, sometimes when you're not expecting the collision, he's naturally high rather than low, which can allow guys to gain leverage under you. I think at times he did struggle to come to balance. I don't know if it's because he's so jacked up to make a play that he's just firing on all cylinders. But
you're saying like over pursuing stuff,
a
like
little bit over pursuing, a little bit.
I got that too,
right? Yeah. Like a step too late of when to break down. But this is a really, really good football player.
He's so much fun, man.
He is.
Leighton Vander Esch is who he reminds me of.
Okay,
just bigger, taller, longer linebacker who feels like a maniac when he is out there. Vander Esch had over 140 tackles in his last year when he was at Boise State. He had a lot of really good plays in coverage as well, but it was just, you knew that this guy was going to be a tackling machine, and Vander Esch showed that he was able to do that, certainly when he was healthy throughout his NFL career and college career, but they're very similar builds. I think that they have similar ceilings as players. Stutsman was, he's from Florida, by the way, so like he is a true Florida
He's
man.
Our Orlando guy.
He's
you got to be a full sicko, man. Wait, like your airport is the Disney World airport.
Where is he? No. He legitimately might be from Orlando.
I thought he was. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yes. He's from Winter Garden, Florida, which is just outside of Orlando.
You would know. People forget you are a Florida man. Or are you like? It's not like reformed. Have you? Do you shed the title or do you still carry? Like, are you once you're Florida, you're always Florida?
No, you can't. I spent too much time. I was 28 years living in Florida.
Oh my God, like, you're forever Florida.
You can't get rid of that. That's in the roots. And I appreciate another Florida man putting on a football helmet and just acting like a maniac.
You are built differently. If like say your friend is getting married in Cleveland, Ohio, and you have to fly from where the same people are coming into and leaving Disney World just to get to a normal place. That is a different hellscape. Like you are mentally prepared for different warfare.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that just goes absolutely unbothered when you're a Florida man and you get to other.
But is Orlando the final boss of Florida? What's the final?
Think it is.
I think so too.
Well, I mean,
you know better than me.
No. Look, there are plenty of much smaller areas of Florida that you could consider the final boss. But Florida is very different. Like South Florida and Miami is different than like Central Florida of Orlando, which is so different from Northern Florida, which is like anything from Gainesville north. Like even like you could throw Jacksonville and Pensacola into that as well. And like Destin's its own like wonderland. But in my opinion, of places that you would actually go to in Florida, Orlando is the final boss. Orlando is the final boss, in my opinion. But yeah, Stutsman, true Florida man, and he plays like that when he puts the helmet on. There are plays in coverage where he is very instinctual. Now, I will say there are other times where it is a big roller coaster, and sometimes he does not see it. And I wish he was a little bit more consistent, but at least he gives you the highs. At least you've been able to see that already. He's strong. He loves physicality. I think that just for a linebacker, he brings everything that you would want to the table. Things to clean up, sure. But length, size, speed, physicality, some instincts that we've already seen from him, it's all there for Stutsman. He gives you what you would want from the off-ball linebacker position. So that's why I had to have him as LB1.
Yeah, he's awesome. I mean, he really, really is. But I think that kind of flips our combo to my LB1 and your LB2.
Yes, I got Perkins LB2. Yep.
Perkins is Harold Perkins from LSU.
Yep.
I'll do it justice here.
Thank you.
Linebacker edge, true junior.
Linebacker edge, safety.
Honestly, like maybe he should just try to be Derwin James. I don't know. He's 6 foot and an eighth, 215 pounds. So this is a really, really unique player. In 2022, he finished with 7.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 3 pass breakups, and a pick. Last year, he finished with 5.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 6 pass breakups, and a pick. Former 5-star, one of the best top-ranked players in his class. He came out of the state of Texas. Shocker. A high-end athlete. I mean, the ghost move against tackles is beautiful.
Stupid explosive.
Insane downhill pursuit speed. Like his ability to run and chase is stupid good. Experience playing all off-ball linebacker spots, outside rush backer, plays overhang. Like he's out there. You can really move this guy around. And it's not, I think he is good at every spot he plays. He can really open up and run in coverage. If a linebacker, if a running back is trying to get going, whether it's like a swing or a wheel or an angle, like this is the kind of guy that could open up his hips and turn and run. Here's the kicker. Pass rush win rate was 9.7% last year on 154 pass rush snaps. Not a ton of wins in true pass rush situations, Trevor, to me. Like, I wasn't like, okay, you're going to go in a real pass set. I'm rushing from the edge, and the quarterback's going to take this deep drop, and I'm going to, like, work an arm over or, like, an inside move, or it's a lot of running by people. He's just noticeably a cruiserweight in the arena of heavyweights. But
yes,
I think a true off-ball linebacker, running around, making plays, run and cover, blitz when you have to, not rush the passer, blitz. There's a difference to me. I think this guy could be the best linebacker in the class, because if you're playing a defense that, you know, we kind of see this with D'Amico Ryans, Robert Saleh, whoever at the time is coaching the Niners, because Kyle always keeps the defense schematically the same no matter who comes in as DC. The actual scheme of the defense remains the same. Like a front four that can rush, but a linebacker behind them that just runs around like a total lunatic. You cannot teach what Perkins has. You can't teach it. You are born with it. You are either blessed with it. And he is one of the rare humans that is blessed with unique athletic gifts at the linebacker position.
Yeah, I mean, at any position, truly. I mean, he is an unbelievable athlete, and I think it's been very frustrating for LSU fans and for college football fans who have watched Brian Kelly come down to LSU and switch him to off-ball linebacker when they go, hold on, let Harold Perkins get after the passer. Look at what he was able to do as a freshman, but what he did as a freshman was such a small sample size, and I think Brian Kelly is doing Harold Perkins' future justice by telling him, hey, man, like, LSU's listing him at 215. 215, 0th percentile, 0.
Right.
For an off-ball linebacker, let alone 0th percent, like negative 0th percentile for an edge rusher. There's no edge rusher in the NFL that's even 10 pounds close to where Harold Perkins is right now. Now, he could gain a little bit of weight. I think he'd play at like 225, maybe 230 and be an edge rusher. But even if he gets 230 as an edge rusher, you're first percentile. Maybe. You might even still be 0th percentile at 230 pounds. It's 15 pounds heavier than what he is right now.
Right.
I would love for Harold Perkins to be an edge rusher because he's got, like you mentioned, the burst, the bend, the flexibility. It's all there for him, but he's just not built that way. And so instead, now you've got to project him to an outside linebacker role, an off-ball linebacker role, I should say. And I think that he has the athletic ability to certainly be good in coverage. But because he's playing as like this hybrid defender, because LSU is trying to use him in a lot of different ways because they want to win football games with him, he doesn't exactly always have the off-ball linebacker hat on, if you will. They make him wear a lot of different hats. Apex defender, off-ball linebacker, on-ball linebacker. Like, they make him do a lot of different things. So I'm hoping this year it's a little bit more streamlined from him. But he is a fantastic football player and a gifted football player athletically, like you mentioned. It's just, it's kind of hard right now to know where to project him, given the fact that LSU doesn't really know where to play him, because I don't think a lot of people do either. They say the same things that we do. He's one of the best out there, but where do we play him? Where's his home? I hope they give him just outside linebacker reps this year. And that doesn't mean he can't blitz, but like, give him the outside linebacker hat. Have him wear the outside linebacker hat, and let's see what we get from an unbelievably talented player. Exactly. Got anybody else before you want to that you want to shout out?
No, I mean, I watched a couple other, like, so people know, I watched Mo Torre. I feel really bad. He tore his ACL for the second time in 3 years. One of Rutgers' best players. I'm rooting for his recovery and that he can go through the process, and I think he could be a good player. Colin Oliver, kind of another weird hybrid edge off-ball guy from Oklahoma State. So that's another one I watched. And then Jason Henderson, a tackling machine for Old Dominion. Yeah. You know, so those are a couple more of the guys I watch. If you guys want to ask some questions in the comments, I'll definitely try to get to those as well.
Yeah, fire it off in comments. That's the best way to do it. YouTube.com/@NFL Stock Exchange. We'd love to hear your takes on our takes, or if you've got linebacker rankings as well. That's the best way to do it. If you're audio only, you can hit us up at X and Instagram at Tampa Bay Trey, at Connor J. Rogers. We are going to have one more show for you this week. It's going to be the safety position to wrap up summer scouting. Beautiful words, because it means that the season is almost here, and we're going to do a show big board like we did last year, where Connor and I can give you each our top 50s. I think we're doing top 50s. Maybe we'll do top 75s. I don't know. We'll talk about it. We'll figure out a way to collaborate a show big board for you guys. That show was a lot of fun to do last year. We'll give you the mock draft as well. But yeah, look out for the next episode, the final episode of Summer Scouting, the safety position, coming up later this week. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Connor Rogers. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. See you guys next time.